Ladies and gentlemen, we are kicking the weekend off here early for very, very good reasons. As you see here on the banner, we are about to start a slew of CCW shows ahead this month. And what better way to kick it off is to speak with somebody that we haven't spoke with, somebody that's actually the proclaimed king of media. He's going to tell us why he's the king of media in CCW, but also get you ready for Fight or Strike 3, because it feels like yesterday, figuratively and literally, I was talking about Mercy's Mighty Fight, but now we're going into a whole year ahead in CCW, and what better way to kick that off here with Fight or Strike 3, and many friends of the show are going to be on that card, many even guests upcoming we're going to announce later on in the show. But forget all of that here. Our guest needs no further introduction, but because it's his first time here and almost everybody around the world is watching this, and especially in the CCW locker room, they want to hear that introduction. They want to see him get that introduction that so many across the locker room have gotten over these past 2.5 years. So with that, wait for it. Further ado here on the Sports Report. Number one. Global Sports Show. He's the king of media from Cody Championship Wrestling, where all wrestling matters. His name is DJB. My friend, happy Friday.
Happy Friday. That was impressive.
Well, very impressive, because this is literally the third one I've done in about 19 hours. And I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to pull this one off with this guy. And this is CCW. I got it, especially everything in the world that I've said in the wrestling world about CCW and other places. I got to make sure I have that intro. But we definitely soldiered on. We pulled through. And obviously, it's an absolute honor to have you, sir. Certainly a lot to get into here, and I've actually put the banner up here for now. We'll take it off in a few minutes, but CCW, definitely where all wrestling matters, and really should still be colory community wrestling. I heard Mr. Barris reference that during the week, and I hope that one day maybe it'll change, but enough about that. DJB, it's an absolute honor to get to you, and I want to go right to the top here. Prince Dagan, our reigning, defending CCW Underground Heavyweight Champion, also one half of the Tag Team Championships. I've known this man a long time. Obviously, I know you certainly have had your run-ins with him. I saw you yesterday on Facebook with him, and you've certainly, I guess, introduced yourself quite nicely. I would maybe say over weeks on the Colory Championship Wrestling channels, but he looks as dominant as ever. But apparently, he's actually going to be wrestling his son, Spawn, in a father versus son match. And I'm trying to think about this. I've been around a while. I've been around the block here covering wrestling and pretty much every different thing I can think of. We're going on my 5th year anniversary on January 25th, where we induct, actually, Mr. Barris into our Hall of Fame. Cheap plug for that. But I don't think I've ever covered in my entire career a father and son match. So you have to set the tables first, because you're the king of media, and you happen to know Mr. Dagan very well. And I was wondering, what can we expect here for those who are going to be watching, and certainly for those here in Sportswire Radio who are getting ready for Fight or Strike 3?
Well, I know both Mr. Dagan and his son Spawn very well. I've been getting to know them very well over the past 6 months or so, as I have been part of the media team on CCW. I've said this countless times before. Dagon versus Spawn, to me, is going to be what I call a mirror match. I think we're going to see the same style, the same technique from both of these guys, and they're going to be able to outdo each other at every single turn. I think it's going to come down to one of these guys getting lucky over the other one. They know each other inside and out. It's father and son. What more can you get than that?
Yes, but I would say in this particular case, obviously, sure, Spawn's going to mirror Dagan, but, I've known Mr. Dagan a while. I've actually had in a past life, you might want to say, Mr. Dagan on this platform. And I've watched this man. I've covered this man. I've covered Cutlery Championship Wrestling, or as I continue to call it, Cutlery Community Wrestling, over the past 2+ years, and the run he's on right now. I would dare say, of anybody across the UK wrestling scene, he might be figuratively and literally the most dominant champion. And within this promotion, he's actually a double champion. So Spawn might have actually got to be an offspring of Dagan. He certainly has gotten to learn all the moves of this man. But why would it be any different for Spawn versus anybody else that squared off with Prince Dagan over these past several months, sir?
Look at what happened the last time Spawn was in the ring with Dagan. Tap, tap, tap. Dagan tapped out. He was the first man on Team Barris to tap out in that big match. And if that had been for the title, we'd see a new champion right now. We'd see a new prince right now, and that would be Prince Spawn. And I think that's what we're going to see at Fighter Strike.
Okay, well, we'll certainly find out further on that. But, after what I saw, though, the last 2 times I've seen Dagan in the ring against Jam Dog, who I'm going to have an announcement for in a little while, and then obviously what I saw in a 30-minute Iron Man match against Johnny Flashback, and, watching that match, and then I really want to talk a lot about Davey Blaze and Persona as well. Dagan can pretty much do it all. Dagan can certainly wrestle the technical style. Dagan can mix it up. He didn't need help last time against Johnny Flashback. I know what you're saying, and there is something to that. But I think at the end of the day, it's going to be Dagan's belt to lose. It's going to be Dagan at the end of the day that's going to have the advantage. Because also remember this, one other thing about the champion. The champion's got the experience. The champion's the one right now that he's been around the block. And you can never learn all the full tricks from that old dog, and Dagan is certainly no old dog either.
Yep, some of that stuff Spawn isn't going to be picking up from watching his dad. It's going to be passed down through DNA. It's going to be passed down genetically. He's just gonna know how to do most of that stuff just by instinct alone. I'm sorry, but Dagan, as much as I think he is a tremendous wrestler and one of the greatest champions CCW has ever seen,
I think I'm going to cut you off. I think that he is right now, and I have Hybrid in the chat. I love Hybrid. Him I love as champion, but as I had him on twice as champion, Dagan right now is the greatest CCW underground heavyweight champion this promotion has had. And why is that? Because CCW right now is going to places. CCW is doing things that the prior champions, with all due respect to those some of those champions I might want to add, Dagan has put this company on his back. You can say whatever you want about inside the company, but outside, he's the figurehead. He's the guy right now that has taken CCW to places. That's why CCW is the place to be. That's why people like Davey Blaze and Tom Fulton are here. So at the end of the day, Dagan is the greatest champion that this company has ever had.
For now.
We're going to find out. I'll tell you that much. We're all looking forward to it here. I have a lot of comments. Let me get to people here, because if I don't, I'm going to certainly forget, and then people are going to be really mad at me if people aren't enough mad at me to begin with. But I want to say hello to wrestling's greatest referee out there in the state of Tennessee for our very good friends, Resurrection Wrestling. I want to say hello to Mr. Silvestri, because I have Steven Silvestri on coming up within the next few, because they have a show also on the 27th of January called Lockdown. And in their main event, this is where it's going to be. And by the way, we gave a big plug to CCW on the show. They're having some guy named Jimmy Controversy. Probably most people have heard of him in Grimm's Toy Shop and the UWF, Pro Wrestling Venom. He's wrestling Mikey Anarchy. He's wrestling this guy, Mac 10, who's in the Carnage Cup. These guys are like the top guys, right, the Mount Rushmore of deathmatch wrestling. That's his company that he's a part of. And thank you, Steven, for your very good support. Now, what are you doing here at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon Central Time? Want to say hello to our buddy here, Mr. Ed. Ed, how are you? You've been here a while, and I thank you for that. I don't want to spoil it yet, but I do have a Jam Dog announcement. I will certainly get to that in a little while, and I'm excited about that one because I haven't had Jam Dog much on Sportswire, so I do want to say hello to our hardcore champion, who certainly I'm going to talk a lot about here.
Evening, Jam.
My buddy in Australia, who I think it's 9 a.m. I think Ace Reed, who's the BWU Backyard Wrestling world champion. I think he must have just got up. He's probably just having breakfast, and he's watching us on Sportswire. I had him on the show last weekend. A big shout out to him. By the way, he's got almost 800 subscribers now on YouTube. So, yep, he's good friend of mine. The champ is here. Gonna get to him once again further. Yes, Evening Jam, Evening Daggett. Now, Hybrid, I'm definitely going to get to, because I'm going to say a few things on Hybrid that I think I want the CCW universe and I want the people to know about, because I have a few thoughts on Hybrid. So let me get to that in a little while. We'll see. I don't know. We'll time out for that. Let's say Tom Bryce and DJB, make sure to do this thing, slap a hashtag. Yes, I will put that up in a little while. I can only handle so many things at once. I only have 2 hands, not 7, but yes, I will definitely get to that. Thank you. But also, I also want to add Colory Championship Wrestling. I still say it's Colory Community Wrestling, and it's also where all wrestling matters.
Yes.
Also, Jam Dog wants to say, a dog being here makes me not want to be here. Well, I think I know where he's going to get to with that. At least I can't rap here. I want to say hello to somebody I think you know. Now, Jam, there's plenty of room in the doggy park for both of you. I'm going to plead the fifth on that.
That's my partner. She's sitting feet away from me.
I actually knew that. I was actually trying to be. I was trying to play it very neutral, very calm, cool, and collected, as some might say. So I definitely was going to point that out there. I also want to get to Mr. Hybrid. Defeated Dagon, defeated Spawn. Dagon was definitely more experienced, so my money is on Dagon, and I definitely want to come back to that. I have a lot more comments I want to read off, and I will definitely come back to Hybrid, because I got a few things to say on Hybrid and a few other big men, by the way. All you guys are awesome. Love coming to the CCW shows, and it was an honor to watch the last couple of CCW shows. And I want to thank you for obviously your work being the king of media, because now I get to watch these shows on YouTube. Sometimes I would watch these shows. There was a birdie out there. I don't want to say who the birdie was that would give us these shows to watch. Yeah, definitely smoke all you want, because you know what? Now I get to watch these shows in real time, because, in the past, yes, I would know. I would sometimes get shows. I would certainly have, droplets of what goes on, but now we can watch this stuff in real time. So thank you for being the king of media. Howard Stern has nothing on you, so you are the new king of media. They used to call Howard Stern the king of media, but now he's no longer the king of media. You're the king of media, and that's why we have you here on this platform, because Howard called me, and I said, well, I think I'm going to pass. I got DJB coming on to Sportswire Radio, so Howard can go wait. He can go play around with Beth Stern. We got you. But obviously, the champion wants to say, I would never underestimate Spawn. He's the biggest threat to me in CCW. What's your thoughts on that? Now coming back to some of the real-time things. Talk to me.
Yeah.
What do you say on that?
Like I said before, I actually completely agree with that. And I'm not surprised Dagon would say something like that, because he knows Spawn more than anybody on earth, in hell, wherever you want to be from. Like I said, this is going to be a mirror match. And if anybody can take that title away from Dagon, it's going to be Spawn. I think we're going to see it.
Well, you know what? I'm going to hold my thought very quickly on that, but I want to ask you, is it possible that you think, based off what you are saying, obviously you see Mr. Dagon regularly, you obviously have gotten to know him, you're at these shows, but do you think it's possible that Dagon has taught Spawn everything he knows?
No.
Okay.
There's always going to be something that you've forgotten to pass down, or something there could be a technique you haven't used in years that you've forgotten about, and it could just come back to you in the heat of the moment. So I don't think Dagon has taught Spawn everything he knows. I do think 95% is going to be a mirror image of Dagon and Spawn, though.
Well, that's interesting. Again, and I said this before, I'm thinking about this, at least in British wrestling, I've never covered a father and son versus son match. So the fact that we're having this here in CCW is a pretty big deal. Now, obviously, I've technically covered one other father and son match, but in British wrestling, I've never seen this before. And that was Mr. Judgment and the Blaze, Ace Christian, and DBW. And I think here, this is a little bit of a different take, because obviously these two take things on a whole nother level. So we're going to certainly come back to that. Let me get to a lot more comments. Speaking of Spawn is in the house. He says evening. Also, Ethan, who's, by the way, Ethan, does this guy sleep? He's on all my shows now. I see him with the backyard guys. I see him with the pro guys, the underground guys. Well, DJB doesn't wrestle, so I don't know how
I
you
don't. Yeah, I don't wrestle.
I was gonna say you can ask me anything else you want, but he hasn't wrestled. Now, I could ask you, how about in a better way? What's the most dangerous match you've seen in CCW so far? I'm gonna save this guy the trouble, and I'm gonna phrase it a different way. What's the most dangerous match you've seen in CCW so far?
Carnage Championship Wrestling. Blizzard taking on Onyx. That was absolutely phenomenal in my eyes. It was dangerous. It was chaotic. It was carnage. It was everything I went into that match expecting to see, and I was not disappointed. It was as advertised.
That's a good one. That's, you know what, and that's a match I actually did cover in the past. I hadn't thought about that one, but that's why you're here and I'm there. Yes, Evening Swanee, Mr. Jamdog. I can't disagree with Dagon as the greatest underground. That's my point. And you know what? Listen, I've covered, I don't know, maybe 5 underground champions, maybe 5 or 6. I mean, some of them we don't even know if they should probably be taken off the record books. Some of them, but the facts are, to me, Dagon has been the greatest underground champion. Certainly, Dustin, it was a great champion. Hybrid was a great champion. Ronnie Thatcher. But the facts are, is right now the run that Dagon has been on, for my money, my mind, as the host of the Sports Report, the owner of Sportswire Radio, the voice of all wrestling, where all wrestling matters here, the Reverend Tom Bryce, Prince Dagon has been the greatest underground heavyweight champion, and I will certainly want to find out till proven otherwise. The young, hungry lion challenging the leader of the pride. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. That's, you know what? That's why maybe you should take over my spot here. Yes, and I say hello to you. And speaking of people that I'm going to definitely get to, the tribal cheese. Not the big cheese, the tribal cheese. And he certainly made his presence felt a little bit at Mercy's Mighty Fight. And we definitely acknowledge him. In the words of Donnie Brasco, DJB, he's a friend of ours. Yes, and definitely great to see the tribal cheese. And by the way, he's on YouTube at Mad Banks, over 1,000 subscribers. Go out there and sub to this man, because this man meets the who's who of people. And he's, when he goes and meets Cody Rhodes, he goes and meets Rhea Ripley, Bobby Lashley. What he's actually doing is he's telling him CCW. He's telling him, go over and subscribe. Go over and, when your WWE runs end, when, you're certainly unhappy with the way things are going, you come to CCW and we'll make sure that we take care of you. So that's what he's telling him. When he meets all the famous people, he's basically telling him, he's giving him those promo cards, he's giving him those photos, telling him all that, and he's telling him, come over to CCW, because CCW is the place to be. Hello to Mr. OK. We will definitely get to Mr. OK. I'm trying to get to everybody here at once. I have who else here? Oh, good evening. Good evening to you, Zoe. I hope that you're doing great. Mr. OK, I can come back on Sunday. I think that's a reference to you, maybe. I don't know why, Ethan, I'm going to hang on to the movies later. I'm talking CCW. Thank you, though, for the movie references. But, speaking of Prince Dagon, and I got to ask you about Adrian Black. Adrian Black and Dustin Hart. Dustin Hart returns to the ring, and this is another match. There's a lot of, I always say this all the time. I don't know how much you've listened to the prior shows. I've done it with CCW talent. I've been doing them on and off for a long time. And Adrian Black and Dustin Hart, this could easily be the main event. You got a number of matches here that could easily be the main event, but there's obviously a lot of beef here, a lot of blood. There's going to be a lot of things shed. And you got to talk to me about this, Adrian Black and Dustin Hart, because this is a match I'm very excited about. And I know that the CCW universe is also going to be really excited about to see her at Fighter Strike 3.
Oh, I'm more excited to see how Dustin is going to behave, considering what happened at the end of the last show with James Barros coming out and firing Dustin Hart. Dustin,
Dustin has never had a contract in CCW. Remember, this goes back. I've been covering CCW for, and somebody can quote me on this, I've been covering CCW for 2 years. And as long as I can remember, Dustin Hart's never had a contract in this company. Never had one.
You would have to get that fact checked. I wouldn't be able to tell you that.
I understand.
However, after seeing Dustin's actions against Barris and then seeing this match was then later on made, I cannot wait to see how Dustin reacts, because Adrian, you've got to remember, Adrian Black is still undefeated in CCW. He hasn't been pinned. He hasn't been submitted. He hasn't lost a match. And the Light and the Dark Championship is on the line here. So if Dustin can not only defeat Adrian Black in that streak, he's taking away a championship as well. And that's a big FU to James Barris, in my opinion.
Let me ask you, okay, so that you basically mentioned James Barris. So James Barris, you say that is pulling for Adrian Black here.
I would imagine so.
And it certainly must drive James Barris crazy that Dustin Hart is back in the ring. And, James Barris has certainly had an interesting history with Dustin Hart. It's a very, very interesting history here. And many of it has been actually aired here on Sportswire Radio over these past couple of years. But, Adrian's been undefeated, right? Adrian's been extremely impressive. And what he and Dagan have done speaks for itself. So, how does Dustin have a chance here in this match? I mean, I love Dustin. Dustin's been on the platform a couple times. And by the way, happy belated birthday to Dustin. But I mean, the facts is that Black has been basically unstoppable alongside Dagan. Dustin's coming back here. He hasn't been in the ring in a while. I mean, what chance does he really have here in this match?
What does he have to lose? Dustin has absolutely nothing to lose here. Barris fired him. He's got no championship to lose. However, he's got everything to gain. He can walk away with not only taking the undefeated streak from Adrian Black, but he can walk away with the Light and the Dark Championship at the same time. I think Adrian Black might be in for a shock here.
But, okay, let me ask you a follow-up. And I asked this question last week when Mr. Barris had come on the show, and we were basically going over Mercy's Mighty Fight. And tell me your thoughts on this, though. Are you trying to say that it's kind of the same premise that was going on? We saw Adrian Black and Jam Dog, which that match turned into a whole Donnybrook. That was just a match that, will certainly, I'll come back to Jam Dog. I do have an announcement I want to get to with Jam Dog in a few minutes, which I actually am kind of teasing. But when it comes to that, I mean, do you think maybe one advantage Dustin might have is that pressure could be on Adrian to keep that undefeated streak, to keep that title, and also keep Dagan happy? Because, you want to keep Dagan happy these days.
I don't think that's it with Adrian. I don't think Adrian feels any pressure from his brother Dagon or for the undefeated streak whatsoever. I think all of this is going to boil down to the fire that has been lit under Dustin Hart's backside recently, and he's going to use that. And I think that's going to motivate him to come out on top here. I think that's going to be what it takes to knock Adrian down.
Well, we're going to certainly find out. And again, I have a lot more comments, and I want to obviously say hello to some people that are actually watching this out here in New York. I want to say hello to that female there that's listening. But also, if you are on different platforms, please support Colory Championship Wrestling, Instagram, Colory Championship _Wrestling, also Facebook, Colory Championship Wrestling, and YouTube, CCW UK Northeast. Their next show coming out, Championship Wrestling, is going to come out tomorrow, which we'll spend a few minutes on. But the Colory Championship Wrestling next show in CCW is on the 27th of January, which will be Fighter Strike 3. And it's a stacked card. We're running through it here. And I also have a few announcements I'm going to get to very shortly on that. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice of all wrestling, where all wrestling matters. And if you're here for the first time on our platform, for those in the locker room, check us out on our YouTube page. I've gotten a lot of new subscribers of late. People like the new edge on Sportswire. They like what I have to say. They like that I'm calling out the truth. They like the fact that I'm supporting CCW and those that do it for the right reasons. So come on down and support us, because I got a slew of big CCW shows ahead. But let's get to more comments, because people definitely want to talk. And Ethan, I'll come back to the movies later. Right now, we're actually having a movie here on Sportswire Radio, speaking with DJB, our king of media. Rico Justice, a man that, certainly, he's going to have to, 24 is going to be a make or break year, I think, for Rico Justice. I certainly want to do that. Let me come back to our champion, the greatest underground champion in this company's history. My brother is going to finish off the old man. I have trust in the other half of the apocalypse. That's his thoughts on Dustin Hart.
I don't know about that.
But Dustin, you don't like Mr. Dagan, though. You don't like Mr. Dagan and Mr. Black.
It's not that I don't like them. I don't like I don't like the way they go about things in CCW. They claim they're high and mighty and royalty and stuff like that.
But they've been successful. Doesn't that give them the entitlement to think that? I mean, they have
underhanded tactics and mind games. That's all it is what Spawn is going to sort Dagon out. I am absolutely
All right,
confident
let
of
me
it. And
ask
just
you. Let me ask you a follow up on that. I'm going to get to comments, I promise. But I have on a lot of different wrestlers around the world. This comes up a lot, and I know that you're technically not a wrestler, but you're the king of media. So you watch enough of this that I can ask you this question. There are some people that go about it and do it for the right reason. They do it for the fans. They do it because they want to do it and show an example. And there are those like Dagan, those like Black, that do it for the money and they do it for the championships. And it seems to me like those guys have been doing a pretty good job. So wouldn't you rather say, let's go with the way Dagan and Black do it, because they're the ones right now that are holding the gold, and the likes of Dustin Hart and others are holding the bag empty-handed?
they might be holding the gold, but they're not holding the crowd's respect. And at the end of the day, that's what I believe it's all about. Every single person in that crowd, they should be respecting you as a competitor. If they're booing you, if they're calling you names, if they're hissing you, you're not doing it right. No matter how much gold is on your shoulder, you're doing something wrong. If they're out there telling you, boo, no, we don't like you, get them to like you. You should be doing it right. I'm sorry, but Dagon and Adrian, no matter how much gold they're holding, they haven't done it the right way. Not in my opinion.
Okay, well, you know what? I respect the opinion. I'm sure that I'm going to, you know what? I think I should do it here at this point, because I feel like if I don't, I'm going to totally forget. So I want to break it here for those that are listening and watching on Sportswire. Obviously, we're speaking with you. You may be the king of media, but I'm going to have here in your chair Tuesday night, 8 o'clock British Standard Time. You can definitely smoke. You can smoke as much as you want because you won't be talking to me. That means you can smoke more cigarettes. You can have on you can have your cigarette on. I'm going to have on here in your chair. Jam Dog himself, our hardcore champion, is going to be live on Sportswire Radio. He makes his return to the platform. In fact, we have not had Jam Dog on in over 6 months. Jam Dog makes his return to Sportswire Radio. He's got a lot to get off his chest. He's got a lot to say about Prince Dagan. He's got a lot to say about Adrian Black, and you are not going to want to miss this one. Who knows what else is on his mind? We'll even talk about his theme song that everybody loves and comes out to. Na, 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 na. I don't know if I can get it up there. Maybe if I can, maybe we'll play it on the show if I can. But also what I will ask for those, actually, I'll ask it from you when we're on the live Tuesday, if you can give me the poster actually of the show. What we're doing now on Sportswire, I'm actually able to put the posters up of the show. So for when Jam Dog comes on, give me the poster. We'll put it up live on the screen. He's going to be here live in our screens Tuesday, 8 p.m. British Standard Time in the same platform here. You're watching it now, YouTube at Sportswire Radio, 6579 Backspace Stream. This is one you will not want to miss. Jam Dog always is lively. He always has something to say, and it'll definitely be one for the ages as it continues a slew of CCW shows ahead throughout the month. And I've got a couple of more announcements with CCW, but I wanted to get that there out of the way. I believe my uncle lost last show against Jam Dog. Was it like a disqualification, though? Wasn't it DQ?
It was.
Yeah. I mean, okay, DQs don't really count in my book. I guess they technically count, but good point, I suppose. But then he says he's never been pinned or submitted. So let's call it half and half. I do it to win. We are the Paragons. I've once done it for the fans, and they were ungrateful. And that's what I said. Listen, and I had this man on 2 years ago. I want to point this out. I had this man on. He might remember. I had this man on almost 2 years ago, and he wasn't as successful as he is now. The facts are the facts. You can go on my YouTube page and watch an interview. In fact, it's actually, believe it or not, DJB, I actually get asked the most about Prince Dagan's interview. I don't get asked about Dean Allmark. I don't get asked about RPD. I don't get asked about Vito Fratelli using the PWI 500. I get asked about Prince Dagan because when Prince Dagan came on Sportswire, he needed a translator. He don't need the translator now, and now he's the most dominant champion in the sport, hands down. So it seems to me like, he knows what he's doing.
I don't agree with that. I do not agree with that comment. The fans and they were ungrateful. Was I ungrateful, Dagon, when the first person I ever met in CCW and walked up to and said, "Oh my God, I think you are amazing. Can I have a photograph of you?" was you. When the first person I fanboyed over and wanted merchandise from was you. Was that ungrateful of me? No, it wasn't. It really fucking wasn't. Sorry for the language there, but I'm getting worked up now because he's saying the fans were ungrateful, and they weren't. The fans loved him, and he turned their back on them.
Well, you know what? What if I were to tell you, right? You're getting worked up, right? You're obviously, it struck a nerve, right? That fair to say?
Yeah.
So what if I were to tell you that before the 27th of January, I'm going to call a spade, and I'm going to talk with your underground heavyweight champion of the world, January 18th, in your chair, Thursday, that day, Prince Dagan, same time, same bat channel. He's going to be here live before the 27th of January to talk about his match with his son. What do you say to that?
I'm there. I'm
You
watching.
there? You're going to be there?
Yeah.
And you want me to ask him anything you want?
Oh, I'll be there. I'll ask him myself.
Oh, you ask him yourself? You think so? Yeah. Okay. Well, you know what? Obviously, I would hope that everybody tunes in because I haven't had Prince Dagan on Sportswire. This is probably the longest anybody has gone between appearances in my entire 5-year career. I've actually checked this. He was on the platform. I'm pretty sure it was April 2022. It was April
Wow.
2022, and he's coming back after almost a 2-year exit. So seriously, this is really going to be one of the most, I would say, in-demand, tune-in type interviews. Prince Dagan is live. And yep, that's right. You damn straight. The Prince returns to Sportswire. And I will say it, though. I know you're not going to agree. I am going to acknowledge him as the greatest CCW underground heavyweight champion in the world. I'll even go further right now. I'll acknowledge him and say he's the greatest British wrestling world heavyweight champion any promotion right now because he's the champion of the #1 promotion right now in this country in CCW. CCW is where the big boys play. CCW, if you can't make it in CCW, you can't make it anywhere. CCW, he's the champion of the only company that sells out and draws hundreds of fans, that draws the likes of Davey Blaze, and he's the champion of this promotion. And he's here live to Sportswire Radio. So I am definitely going to acknowledge him. And I'm going to definitely make sure that the champ is welcome. I'll definitely ask him questions. But he's here, again, after I think the longest absence of any guest in Sportswire Radio history. He's going to break that streak. After coming on, after almost a 2-year absence, our champion is here. We're going to acknowledge him. Let me get to some more comments here. Jam Dog says, I get cheered and respected from the fans. I also have gold over my shoulder. True, but he didn't get Dagan's gold. Let me come back, if you don't mind, let me come back to somebody that's going to be in a Rumble. You might not. I love to talk about the Rumble coming up on the 27th of January. By the way, what brand of cigarettes do you smoke?
This tobacco, it's backy. Was it tuna or a drum?
Oh, wow. Yeah. So you roll your own tobacco there. That's really unique.
Yeah.
You really are. That's why you're the king of media. But let me come back to somebody that I specifically want to talk about here, and that is Hybrid. Hybrid, of course, was the former underground heavyweight champion. As a matter of fact, last year around this time, I had Hybrid in your chair, and he was the champion of CCW. He wants to say, couldn't agree more with Dagan. The support from the fans don't matter. Old-timers like Dustin and two-faced people like Colin McGregor steal the spotlight. Now, I think Hybrid's right in some ways, and I'll tell you why he's right. Not fully right, but he's right in the fact that, when Hybrid was champion, he wasn't on the posters. He wasn't featured in the main events. And Hybrid's the guy. And I continue to say, I don't know if you heard what I said with Mr. Barris. Mr. Barris was on in October, and Mr. Barris was on last week. I know you definitely heard that one. A lot of people did. But the facts of the matter are is that Hybrid, in my opinion, he should be the guy back near the top. He should be the guy squaring off with Dagan. He should be the guy squaring with other people. Not in these matches that I'm watching and they're like, they're great. I want to say that they're not, but they're certainly attraction matches. Hybrid is a guy that should be up there wrestling the likes of, I don't know, the Tribal Cheese maybe. Let's throw him in there even with a Jam Dog. Let's see Hybrid test his skills as a unique shoot fighter. Let's see Hybrid test his skills as a pound-for-pound badass. That if you were to go in the locker room and take everybody we have in CCW, Hybrid might be pound-for-pound the toughest guy in this locker room. How about Hybrid in persona even? The facts are is that Hybrid, he should be our guy back where he was when he was on this chair last year. And maybe he's right, because when he was the champion, his championship reign in a way was kind of usurped from different people like McGregor, who's been hanging on for a while with different people, and Dustin Hart, who still doesn't have a contract. What do you say to all that?
You know what? I'm gonna actually agree. I always thought Hybrid is a what's the word? Underrated guy in the ring. He's not
Absolutely.
taken.
Listen, let me tell you something. I'm going to cut you up for a second, because now I'm going to go on a rant here, because it's Sportswire Radio. And the facts are, is Hybrid. This guy, I look at this guy, look at the shape he's in. I look at his background. I've watched him in different places. I see what this guy does in the ring. You really take anybody in this locker room, right? And you put this guy this is a guy that's been a mixed martial arts fighter, right? What are we doing out here? This is a guy that should be selling us tickets. This should be a guy that should be always at the top of the card. You know, I don't want to say it, because CCW is a place, to me, that's the place to be. But Hybrid should be certainly testing his skills in different ways, not in matches that might be rather, well, attraction matches, maybe is the nicest way I could put it. Hybrid is a guy, pound for pound. I put everybody up in this locker room. I would say he's the toughest guy in this locker room. He should be showing those skills out there. He should be just like a Gunther. He should be just like a Brock Lesnar. And that's what he should be doing, because he's a very unique character to a company that could certainly use unique characters, to a company that could continue to further cement its place as the number one place in the UK. And that's just my opinion.
I completely agree, and I think he's going to get a chance to do that at Fighter Strike 3 in the Colliery Rumble, because you got to remember who else is in that. Who else is in that Colliery Rumble match? Big Cheese Logan himself.
Tribal cheese. I cut you off. The tribal cheese. Tribal cheese. Now let's talk about this Rumble, because this is a Rumble that I'm excited about. You know, everybody's talking about this Rumble and that Rumble, but this Rumble, the CCW Rumbles, are really exciting. And we know the winner of this, you know, is going to go on and potentially, like you said, have a crack, maybe back at some gold. So, I mean, who do you see coming out of this here? I mean, what's your thoughts on the Rumble here? Now, talking about the Rumble before I come back to more comments. I mean, you know, what's your opinion on this, DJB?
God's honest truth. Out of everybody who's in that match, it's going to come down to the Tribal Cheese, and it's going to come down to Hybrid. They are the powerhouses of this match. It's easy to see. I mean, look who else is in the match. You've got Rico Justice. You've got Bat Pigeon. You've got A-Dog. I'm sure there's somebody else in there as well.
Bat Pigeon's got the size, though.
Bat Pigeon has the size, yeah, but Hybrid and the Tribal Cheese have the experience. They have the bigger size than Bat Pigeon. Look at them. They're massive.
Well, you know, you also know, by the way, that, I don't know, actually, maybe you don't know this, but the Tribal Cheese, he doesn't lose in Rumbles, by the way. The Tribal Cheese is, you know, and Tribal Cheese doesn't lose, period. So, you know, the Tribal Cheese, a lot of people are going to handicap here as the favorite, but, you know, him and Hybrid finally going face-to-face potentially in this Rumble. I mean, I would say, you know, if I'm in the locker room and I'm going to go into this Rumble, whatever you want to do is your prerogative. But make sure you just get out of the way if those two behemoths go out and go toe-to-toe, because a lot of people, I think, for a long time, and I've said it here on this platform, have wanted to see the Tribal Cheese Logan and Hybrid, the former CCW Underground Heavyweight Champion of the world, finally go mano-a-mano, toe-to-toe. This will be better than Bobby and Brock. I promise you on that. Better than that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 100%. You can only watch it if you buy your tickets. Remember, people.
And guess what? I'm glad you brought that up, because this is going to be at the WESTLE Sports Bar. The doors are going to open at 6 o'clock British Standard Time. It's going to be on the 27th of January. And get this, only £5. You know, I just went and saw Aquaman 2 in real 3D and spent 20 plus pounds on that US dollars, into US dollars terms. I just went out there and saw Ferrari, spent probably 20 pounds on that. I just saw Iron Crawl, and just that was another 20 pounds. Forget all about that. I can go, if with that amount of money, I can buy almost 10 plus tickets and some to go to this show. And I guarantee you're going to get even more action. You're going to see even more fun. And you're going to see some of the best wrestlers in the entire world, not just in the UK, compete at Fight or Strike 3. And the Rumble, whoever wins this Rumble, by the way, will go on to Miners Mania 3 and compete for that World Heavyweight Championship or any championship of their own. Could be the Light and the Dark, could be a tag team championship if they want. It could be whatever championship of their choosing. They win this Rumble, they can decide to face off with anybody. So I think this is another reason why you want to go out and support CCW. Go out and buy a ticket and go CC Dub, CC Dub,
CC Dub,
CC Dub, CC Dub. That's right. And you want to support CCW on all platforms here. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice of all wrestling, where all wrestling matters, the host of the Sports Report, the owner of Sportzwire Radio, the #1 global radio station. If you like what you hear from us on Sportswire Radio, I would hope you check us out here on our website. I continue to say on YouTube at Sportswire Radio 6579. Our website's below at sportswireradio.org. So if you have a podcast, if you have something else you'd like to play, you have live music, we have a live internet radio station, which I handle all the cost, all the maintenance, all the production for. We take care of all of that. So make sure if you have any questions, let me know, and I'll be happy to put you on the air as well. Also, we have a blog out there where we write about our different things upcoming. We're at Tumblr at Sportswire Radio, so make sure you check us out and all the great things that we do. And again, if you want to follow CCW, follow them on a number of platforms, and especially their YouTube page. Sub to the CCW YouTube page. It's CCW UK Northeast. Make sure you subscribe there because that's where you can see all CCW content. So if you miss CCW shows on YouTube, if you miss Facebook live streams, all that great stuff, you can check it out right there on that link below. They have over 200 subscribers. Let's get them to 2,000 subscribers, 20,000, 200,000 subscribers, so we can hear no more Barris, bobblehead Barris. We can hear no more of that. So that's why you want to go out there and support CCW on all those great platforms. And I want to confirm a couple things here one more time. Jam Dog, Tuesday night in your chair, 8 p.m. British Standard Time. The Thursday, the 18th of January, making after a near 2-year absence to Sportswire Radio, his long-awaited return, the CCW Underground Heavyweight Champion of the world, the greatest CCW champion of all time, and also one half of the tag team champions. Prince Dagan returns January the 18th, 8 p.m. British Standard Time, and James Barris the following Thursday, inducted into the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. And guess what? We're not done, because Tuesday, January 16th, he makes his long-awaited return to Sportswire Radio, I think after over a year, Taylor Truths. And that gives me a plug because we have a big show coming up tomorrow for CCW Coming Out Wrestling. And let's talk about that for a few minutes. Because what can we expect there? Because I think a lot of people are going to be excited because CCW is the place to be. And CCW continues to put on great shows on all 3 programs.
Oh, you cannot be any more correct. Taylor Truths has been working massively over the past God knows how long to promote Alive with Pride, and it is finally here because tomorrow we are gonna witness it in all of its glory and all of its fabulousness. And I'm going to admit the match I'm looking forward to is the Open Tag Team Contest. I don't know if you've seen the poster, but we have the Rainbow Rangers Open Tag Team Challenge, and apparently they're gonna turn the whole place into a massive party, and I cannot wait to be there to film it. It's going to be absolutely booming.
It's going to be the first party of 2024. Everybody's still hungover from 2023. And they come out and see Alive in Pride tomorrow. And, 2024 kicks off with a bang here. CCW always does it. I know Taylor has worked very hard on this.
Yes.
I'm going to talk with Taylor about this on the 16th of January. Very excited about that. And I'm sure that you'll be there and everybody else that supports CCW, and anything else that you want to talk about that you might be looking forward to most that everybody here on Sportswire and elsewhere should kind of keep an eye on when it comes to coming out wrestling.
Probably there's a triple threat flag on a pole match. And
it was about that with Mr. Barris last week on the show. Yep.
We have Craig Forsyth, Spawn, and Simon G. Money all in the ring at the same time. I'm particularly looking forward to that one, but there's also the mystique around a match later on in the night, the Golden Guardian match between Jensen and Pride, I believe. That one's a bit. I'm looking forward to seeing.
Pride. I know Pride very well. I know Pride very well, for sure. Absolutely.
I've never seen any of these before, so this is all going to be a first for me tomorrow night, and I am so happy to be the guy that's going to be filming the entire show.
Well, let me ask you. Let me ask you a follow. Let me come back to Craig Forsyth, Simon G. Money, and Spawn. Let me ask you in a way, and maybe I'll ask Mr. Dagan this question when he comes on. This is an objective question here. Is this a tune-up for Spawn in order for him to get him ready for the 27th of January? What do you say to that?
I wouldn't call it a tune-up.
Craig Forsyth's a very respected name. Craig Forsyth's a guy. Listen, and that's a guy I want to put it out there. Craig Forsyth is a guy that we would like to speak with on Sportswire Radio. Craig Forsyth is a guy that's has done a lot of things in his career, a lot of big things. So Spawn being in the ring with these two opponents, you could make that case that if he gets a win here, this gives Spawn further momentum going into the 27th of January. Momentum that I think Johnny Flashback didn't have.
Yeah, completely agree that. You know what? Yep, I do. I agree there. But the thing with Spawn is, even if he wasn't to come out of this match with a win, I think that would just burn. It would burn something in him, which would make him drive to want to come back and get that big W against.
Yeah, but you know
Dagon.
what? I understand. I kind of agree, but I kind of don't agree because I think that you want to win a match because everybody. It doesn't matter what you do. I don't know how you see things. I'm always a believer in momentum. I'm always a believer in that you can use something almost in a way as locker room material. They say a lot of times in sports, it's locker room material. And the fact you go and get a win here tomorrow, you're 3 weeks away from Fighter Strike 3, the biggest moment of your career, a chance to certainly change the trajectory of CCW and certainly use this in a way for 2024 to be a big year for you, the biggest year yet. And you're going to win over two guys that certainly have been established. Yeah, I think it is momentum. And I think it does give you something to say, you know what? Yeah, I can win this match. Yeah, I can go out there. You know what? I've already I've proved it. In different types of matches, but one-on-one, beating a guy like Craig Forsyth or Simon G. Money, but especially Craig Forsyth. Yeah, you know what? I got a lot of momentum.
I would argue, yes, okay, you're right there, but I would argue that it's completely different going against two different guys like Craig Forsyth and Simon G. Money, as opposed to going up against your own flesh and blood, against your own father, against a man who raised you from being a little, what do you call a baby demon? A spawnlet?
That's a good point. I have to say I agree with you. I don't know what the right term would be. Usually maybe you call him a young whippersnapper, or maybe you might come some other term. And I think about it when Mr. Judgment and the Blaze Ace Christian squared off in DBW. I don't think he used quite those terms, even though in a way he might actually relate to Prince Dagan because he calls himself the final boss. He calls himself the prophet of purgatory. So he might come across in his own way thinking he's from heaven, but in a way he might be from hell, kind of like Mr. Dagan. That would be certainly a different topic for another time. But yeah, I don't quite know the term. I don't know quite the description, but I do know that it's going to be a great match. And just that match alone, Craig Forsyth, Simon G. Money, and Spawn, I mean, you can't go wrong with that. Let me get to a lot more comments because people really want to talk to you, and I want to get them in the conversation. Also, oh, I can't read. Clearly, I clearly cannot read. I've got it over my shoulder and around my waist. Yes, that was a good point. I agree with you on that. Jam Doug says I haven't got Dagan's gold yet. Interesting. Well, he's going to come back to that. I'll tell you why. Hybrid is 100% correct, and my son is being led astray by the fans, as after all, he is the fans' favorite. Okay.
Dagon used to be the fan favorite.
I'm gonna let Ethan ask you this question because I think you answered it last week, I think, with Taylor and Dagan, but I'm gonna let him answer it anyway. What was your favorite feud of CCW in 2023?
Oh God. Well, I only arrived in CCW in
second half of the year, right?
Yeah. It was the second half of 2023.
What was your favorite feud in the second half? What was the favorite feud that you got a chance to watch up close? I'll make it easy for you.
That's not easy. That's not easy because when you sit down to watch a CCW show, everything engrosses you. You pay attention to every single detail.
CCW's product. I think every storyline leaves you wanting more. CCW. There are some companies they run the same tune, the same dance. It's like basically they can just do it, and that's their prerogative. But in CCW, we don't do that.
let me put it like this. Picking one favorite moment from CCW would be disrespecting everybody who made moments of themselves throughout the year. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to say they all did amazing.
You know, that's a great company man answer, by the way. Being like, yeah, every few was that was a that was a great spoken like a true company man. You know, that's obviously that's why you're the king of media and I'm not. So obviously that was actually a pretty good answer. I'll give you that much. But I will certainly get to some more comments because I have a lot of comments that I still want to get to. Also, breaking news for you, and I'm going to ask him this question if this is evidently true. Jam Dog says he might enter the Colory Rumble and shake things up a bit.
Ooh.
You think I could ask him that question on Tuesday? Do you think he'd be okay if I ask him if he's going to enter the Rumble and what is his chance? Because that shakes things up a little bit. You put him. He's a guy that can go toe to toe with Hybrid. He's a guy that can go toe to toe with the Tribal Chiefs. And by the way, I want to remind you, Jam Dog said when he was on Sportswire last time that he would like to introduce himself to the Tribal Chiefs. He would like to maybe go square off with him in a ring, and maybe that's where we might see that.
Yeah, completely. If Jam Dog enters that Rumble, it becomes, in my opinion, a three-way dance between Hybrid, the Tribal Cheese, and Jam Dog. I hope he does. Oh, please, Jam, please.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'm going to tell you what. As a host of Sports Report, the owner of Sportswire Radio, the people's radio station, your voice of all wrestling, where all wrestling matters, I don't know if the ring will be able to stand up. If those three giants are going to be in that Rumble, my advice to anybody who's entering that Rumble, just eliminate yourself. If those three men are going to be together, just do yourself a favor, save the pain, save the trouble, just move on. Just move on and just do something else for the day. Jam Dog wants to say, Craig Forsythe once slapped Cody Rhodes. True story. I told you about Craig Forsythe. I told you Craig Forsythe's a guy that he could be coming to Sportswire real soon. Tell your last, I said, hey, though, DJB. And he thanked me for the comments. Two chicken to do it yourself hybrid. That's what he says. Two chicken to do it yourself. And speaking of people here, now I know that you're not going to chant bobblehead Barris here. You're not going to do it.
You know what? This is not going to be the people think I am all for the good guy and the bad guy. No, I'm for those who show respect. I am those for who give back to the community. And I seen a picture yesterday with James Barris meeting Mercy, giving Mercy
1,020 pounds. Yep.
Yes, and because of that, I mean, Barris is not—he's amazing, man. I can't argue with it.
I'm a James Barris guy.
Yeah.
People used to say I'm a Paul Heyman guy. No, I'm a James Barris guy.
I'm a James Barris guy when he's not peeing me off.
He don't pee me off. He's welcome anytime on Sportswire. And James Barris is the greatest owner. That's right. He's the greatest owner in this sport right now. You know, Vince McMahon obviously had his own issues. Tony Khan can't figure out if he's putting on big hats and can't figure out network deals. Dixie Carter's out of the sport. Billy Corgan.
Better than Vince. Better than Dixie. He's better than a guy I know called David Jones. He's better than everybody.
That's why he's going to be live on January the 25th, back on Sportswire Radio, to take his place into the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. That's why Mr. Barris is here, and certainly I'm looking forward to that. But enough about that. I got a lot to talk about. See you two tomorrow, DJB for Mr. OK. Big shout out to Mr. OK. Also, the Paragons invite anyone to challenge any one of us or grab a partner and take on both of us at Miners Mania 3. Try and be the hero. You know, what do you think about that? You know, I want to ask you before I ask you about a couple other matches in those tag team championships there between Black and Dagon. I mean, you know, I think in some ways it might be more difficult to take those tag team titles off them than the Light and the Dark or the Underground heavyweight titles. What do you say to that?
Yeah, I agree there, because when you take them separately, yes, they might be worthy adversaries, but we put them together and they are an unstoppable force. You've seen what they did to the Lilac Legion to take the tag team championships. Imagine what they're going to do to keep those tag team championships. I can't think of a tag team currently who could possibly step into the ring.
And I don't think there's a tag team right now in the entire country that can take these titles. Now, I'll even go further and say I don't think there's a team in Scotland right now even that could take those titles from them, because if you put them together, you put them on the run that they're on right now, you collectively put them in a tag team. I don't know. I've been covering British independent wrestling or British wrestling in general now since COVID. And I've been covering wrestling for 5 years all together in these different promotions, different scenes. I have not seen a tag team as dominant, as deadly, and as dangerous as Dagan and Black.
They are deadly. They are a devastating duo.
No, listen, this is no joke. This is no joke. This is these guys together. I mean, I would say, certainly, say a prayer, and certainly it was a nice life. If you want to try it, certainly that's your opinion. Although I'm sure I'll ask Jam Dog about these questions and more Tuesday night, 8:00 cheap plug. Dagon, don't comment. You'll live to regret. Well, Jam Dog, at least, you got to give Jam Dog credit. I do love the Jam Dog things. I would have to say, I would love to hear that song live. Nah, 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 nah. I have to say, it rings in my head. But also, Mr. Barris here is maybe a funny question, but this is going to be breaking news because this has never been said any time before. But James, really, I didn't know. I didn't know James Barris would have been a James Barris guy. I certainly didn't think James Barris was going to be a Dustin Hart guy.
I thought James Barris was a DJB guy, to be fair.
Well, you know what? Those are certainly questions that I'm sure, figure out. Speaking of people that wrestled Prince Dagan, I want to ask you about Johnny Flashback. Johnny Flashback obviously came up short in that Iron Man match, and he wrestles Chris Falcon, who came up short against Tom Fulton, obviously the Alba champion. That was a really big deal to have that match. And, what do you think happens here? Because in a way, the winner of this match needs to get back on track to have momentum. So, talk to me about what do you think here? It's kind of a classic. You see this a lot of times in sports when two teams or two particular players or fighters lose something, and the winner kind of needs a win over one another to kind of get back on track. Like, what do you see?
They need to. They're trying to redeem themselves. Whoever wins this match is going to redeem that big loss. In my opinion, Johnny Flashback is in dire needs of it after that. Oh, pardon me, 30 minutes Iron Man match.
A 30-minute thumping, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's 30 minutes of being absolutely
on air, but it was a thumping. It was I've actually covered a few Iron Man matches on Sportswire, and this one was not a few of them I've covered.
There was a part in that match where Dagon, he bounced off the ropes and he booted Flashback in the side of the head. And if you've watched the footage back, you can even hear me behind the camera going, "Oh!"
I think there was a spot in the match where I think Flashback was struggling to get back in, and it was almost like, I think there was a part of me when I was watching it, I was like, maybe you should stay down for the next one.
Maybe you should just give up, go home. I mean, not to take it away from Johnny. Johnny has the heart, the passion.
No question. And the fans love him. He's definitely, he comes out to the Huey Lewis music. I mean, he's a fun-loving guy. The training video was great that he had going into the match. I spoke a lot about him with Barris for sure. But, I kind of think that he desperately needs a win here.
Yeah. Then again, so does Chris Falcon, coming off of that big loss against Tom Fulton for that championship. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a big Tom Fulton fan. I think the way he looks,
Fulton, is a guy I've actually covered here in the past, and that's a guy that's, he's a straight up what I would like to call a wrestler's wrestler.
Yeah. 100%. Although I'd love to know how he's from the future, because he was billed as from the year 2135, I believe. I don't know why he couldn't give me the lot. Remember?
I guess maybe he was born in 2135 and decided that he was going to come back in the year 2000. I don't know, whatever he came back in the ring. I mean,
I need to hear his story.
Maybe he was actually one of the people that we didn't see in Back to the Future. Maybe he was one of those people that I don't know, back in time. I don't know. There's a Huey Lewis song there. Hybrid supports the Barris Barrage. My buddy Ron Franklin out there in Pennsylvania. Ron, nice to see you. Hope you're doing well. Thank you for tuning in as always. Also, I got to ask you about the Thatcher brothers against they're back in the ring. Reggie and also Ronnie. Ronnie, happy birthday to you. What do we expect from them?
Oh, but you've seen what happened when Reggie
Pandemic
showed
priest.
up, right?
Yep. Yes.
They are going against what I would call the chickens of the CCW. These guys are, in lack of a better term, disposable. The priests, every time I
The
see the priests,
pandemic
they
priest.
are
Yep. Pandemic
ragdolled
priest. Yep.
around. They are like the cannon fodder. They are the goons that the Joker sends for the Batman to get tired out beating up before the Joker goes and does it himself. Ronnie and Reggie are going to absolutely annihilate these guys. There's just no if, buts, or maybes about it. Anybody with a brain cell can see that.
So you don't give them any chance, the pandemic priest?
No.
You sure?
No. Pandemic priests, every single time I have seen them appear, they've been like the bloody Chuckle Brothers, falling down and getting thrown about every which way but Friday.
So I guess it's going to continue Ronnie's birthday month then.
Oh yeah, Ronnie's going to have that's going to be Ronnie's birthday present. An absolute beatdown.
All right, well, we'll see about that. But, I want to ask you about one more match. I want to ask you about this one more match before I ask a few things about you for some of the rest of the conversation. And a guy that I've actually had on a bunch of times throughout the years, and we saw him come back at Mercy's Mighty Fight, and that's Walker Wall Street. And Walker Wall Street makes his return to the ring. Walker Wall Street, if I were to say one wrestler in CCW had, for me, the most confusing year, was Walker Wall Street, because literally his year was extremely confusing on so many different fronts. He was missing for a while. We finally found him, thankfully, and then we saw him appear. The Tribal Cheese obviously saved him from a beating of a lifetime there in his return, and he goes up there against Nate Sawyer. And I mean, what do you expect here? Because again, Walker Wall Street, again, the fans love him, but again, I kind of feel like he had almost like an incomplete year in 2023. So I kind of think this is a big match for him and a big match for Nate Sawyer, because he's another guy also that, you think about it, they're kind of in the way of each other. So what do you expect here in this match? This has to be almost a classic grudge match in a way.
Yeah, completely agree. And I think whoever comes out of this match on top, they're going to set the standards and set the pace for the British Carnage Championship going forward in 2024. Unfortunately, as much as I love Walker, I think the mental toll that has been taken on him recently is going to play a massive part in this match. And if Sawyer can capitalize on that, I think we're looking at an upset.
And certainly Walker has gold still, despite through all of that. He actually has gold. I mean, so, he hasn't really defended this championship, but do you think that this gives Nate motivation? Hey, you know what? Early in the year, it's a grudge match, a lot on the line, and also I can usurp some gold away from Walker Wall Street. What do you say on that?
Yeah, I completely agree. He's already taken Walker's pride. I mean, did you see the video where Sawyer tortured Walker over the Christmas period? He's already taken part of him mentally. Now he wants to take something physically. And what's that going to be? It's going to be the gold.
But, I want to ask you a question on this, as we're here with, of course, DJB. He's the king of media here in Cutlery Championship Wrestling. He's our innovator of excellence. You can follow CCW on all platforms, which is Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. DJB is doing a great job here when it comes to putting out CCW content out there. He's on a number of their shows as well in their streams, and we're very, very honored to have him here in his presence here to kick off a CCW month of shows ahead here on Sportswire Radio. And obviously, again, Walker Wall Street, though, is our British wrestling heavyweight champion here, and he's certainly, been a guy that I've had on. I know his MO, I know his personality, but I mean, when you take somebody's pride away from them, can you say conversely, does it make them dig deep? Does it make them go and kind of do something that they know that their pressure's on them, backs against the wall? I've talked about Dagan having backs against the wall, but with Walker, it's figuratively and literally, this is the case. So, walk me through that, because again, I certainly think that Walker, he wants to show that, he had an incomplete year in 23, but I think of anybody who might need a win more so in any of these matches, he might need the win most of anybody that's going to compete on this card on the 27th at Fighter Strike 3.
Oh, yeah. Walker's going to be wanting to prove a point here to not only everybody, but himself as well. He'll be looking at what happened to him at the back end of 2023, and I'm a man. I know what he's going to be thinking as a fellow man. He's going to be questioning, am I good enough? Can I really do this? So to come out with a massive win here over Sawyer at the beginning of the year, it's going to boost his spirits for the rest of the year. It's going to cement into not only everybody else, but in his own head. Yes, I'm Walker of Wall Street. I've still got this. This is where I belong. I'm the champ, and nobody's going to take that away from me. And he's going to try everything to make sure that is the outcome that happens.
And we know that, listen, Nate Sawyer literally tried to end Walker Wall Street's career.
Yeah.
We know, for seeing that video, seeing that footage, that we know that, listen, Walker Wall Street, I mean, his livelihood was nearly taken away from him. I mean, aside from his family worrying about him, the fact that he's even in the ring, the fact that we even saw him at Mercy's Mighty Fight. I mean, I don't know if Walker's the smartest guy. I've learned that over the years, but I know that Walker is certainly the most fighting guy, and he's certainly going to try to put all of that, at his advantage, or what's left of it. I mean, we'll certainly find out here with Walker Wall Street and Nate Sawyer. Another match, you think again one more time, you think about all these matches that we've got, Walker and Nate Sawyer with the British Wrestling Championship there. You think about, Dagan and Hart. I mean, Light in the Dark title. You got the Rumble, where, we talked about Jam Dog Tuesday. It's going to be on there, most likely. Hybrid, the Tribal Cheese, Johnny Flashback and Chris Falcon, the Thatcher Brothers and the Pandemic Priest, and certainly the main event. Again, Dagan versus Spawn, father versus son, title on the line. I mean, there's like every single match on this card. And I would also point out there still could be more matches ahead. This is why you want to go to CCW on all these platforms. I have to ask you one more thing on CCW before I plug a few general things, CCW, and also a little bit about you. I mean, yep. Davey Blaze, how big of a deal was it for you to watch Davey Blaze up close there? Because what Davey Blaze did was he put on a wrestling clinic. And the fact that we had Davey Blaze in our company, the fact that we had a man that even right before this had just wrestled some guy most people heard of named James Storm, the fact that we've had Davey Blaze has been part of the biggest feuds in pro wrestling, certainly in Scottish wrestling, certainly in British wrestling. This is a man that has basically wrestled a who's who of legends, Hall of Famers, and we had him here at our home, where all wrestling matters in CCW. You have to talk about how big a deal that was.
That was absolutely massive. And the fact that he was put up against one of our best and brightest in persona, that was, you knew going into it, this was going to be a match of technical, legendary proportions. I guess I don't know how to describe it.
And it was like you watched that match, and it was the crowd all just
everyone was in it. You could feel the heat coming off of Davey and Persona, going back and forth, showing each other they've each got what it takes, counter each other, reversal after reversal, strike after strike, grapple after grapple. I haven't seen anything like that in a very long time, and I really want to see it again.
Well, I'm funny you said that. I will get to more comments, but did you not hear what Davey Blaze said after that match? He said
I was filming. Of course I heard.
I was asking the rhetorical question, but Davey Blaze said he wanted a shot at that championship. That was his words. I mean, I don't know what the future is. I can't tell time, though. Jan Dog has a funny comment about that. But I mean, if Dagan were to get past Spawn, right? Certainly, I think that he's got a very good chance. I'm going to ask Mr. Dagan about that. But, I don't know what the future holds. I don't know what'll happen. But, Dagan and Davey Blaze would be certainly a match that I think a lot of people would pay a lot of hard-earned money to see, no?
Yes. 100%. And I don't even think any title would have to be on the line. I think just the fact of having Davey Blaze versus Dagon.
And maybe he's a champion also. He's the pro promotional champion. I mean, he's the interpromotional champion there. He's got a title. Dagon's got a title. Dagon's got 2 titles. But that would be a match, I think, that I'm going to say it. I think it is the host of the Sports Report, the owner of Sportzwire Radio, the #1 global radio station, your voice of all wrestling, where all wrestling matters, the Reverend Tom Bryce. I think, what's his face? Ethan asked questions before. This would be the greatest match in CCW history, hands down. It would be the greatest match in CCW history. Prince Dagan and Davey Blaze.
We'll see. We've got Dagon versus Spawn coming up, and that is seriously going to be a contender.
Listen, I want to see it regardless. I want to see Prince Dagan and Davey Blaze. I think it'd be the greatest match in CCW history, hands down. So I would like to see it. I'm sure I'll ask Mr. Dagan his thoughts on Mr. Blaze's comments, and we'll see what happens on the Thursday, the January the 18th. Let me get some more comments. The priests have lost their way since I disposed of them. However, they were the first. Told you that they have, you can't just discount everybody. Jam Dog was funny. Wrestling will be outlawed in Tom's time, so he traveled back in time to help change events in the present to help change the future. Yes, Tom Fulton certainly could be that.
I like
person.
that.
Personally, unbiased opinion, Nate needs to be smart. Walker will come at him like a wrecking ball. I should know we've had many, many battles, and I've spoken a lot about Dagan and Walker in the past. That's definitely a match that, I look at Walker, he's had those histories with Nate, and that would be a match that, those two guys, I don't know if Walker will be the same right now. He'll be the same ever after that. So that's Prince giving his unbiased opinions. And is this true to be or not? I guess, am I talking about this here? Mr. Nerds and Mr. Jam Dog on the 27th? That's breaking news here, it seems. We got breaking news on Sportswire. What do you say to that?
There we go. Barris, Jam Dog and Nerds. Ho, ho, ho. Well, I think the last time we saw Jam Dog and Nerds in the ring together was at the end of the Hardcore Warzone match.
Yes.
They were the last two remaining participants. And, hey, Nerds did give Jam Dog a good run for his money, but in a one-on-one scenario here with a 100% Jam Dog going into this, nobody else to wear him down, Nerds is going to be in trouble.
Well, I'm going to ask Mr. Jam Dog about that Tuesday night. That's another reason why you want to tune in on Sportswire Radio, because that's, again, where another reason that you need to tune in. So we'll certainly stay tuned. I'm very excited to have Jam Dog, who makes his return to Sportswire Radio after over half a year. And I don't know why we didn't do it. Well, I was sick in the summer. We had Barris come on a couple times, and I think Walker came on in between that. We had Rico Justice come on. So that's my explanation to that. And we had Hybrid. So we've had different people, but we haven't quite had Jam Dog. He's going to come on and talk about that. Obviously, for a time I have with you, I want to ask you a few things about you personally. But I want to ask you, what does CCW mean to you personally?
Oh, man. CCW, and I've said this from day one, it's a dream come true. It literally, and when I say that, it isn't me being a wrestling fan thinking, oh, I want to do this, I want to do it. It is literally a dream come true, because ever since I was a little boy, I always wanted to be on the other side of the television screen. I always wanted to be even in the crowd, talking to the wrestlers, shouting at them, starting crowd chants. And it wasn't until I found CCW that I had that opportunity. And I struck gold when it became more than just me being in the crowd. It became me being someone to help the guys out with production. And I know I might give them some crap, but Dagon and people like Ronnie and James giving me the opportunity to help with the media behind the scenes. Dream come
those
true.
are the guys, Ronnie and Dustin have been certainly the foundation. If I were to say, they have been the foundation of CCW for all these years. CCW, we've talked about this all throughout the years. The sellout show, the devoted following, the massive fan base, the massive shows. That's really all because of Ronnie and all because of Dustin alongside Mr. Barris. Walker's been there as well from the beginning. Those different people that have kind of laid that foundation and, giving you an opportunity. And, what have you learned then from those experiences?
I've learned to respect people who, many years ago, I was a different person. I didn't treat people the way they should be treated. I didn't treat people with respect. And these guys showed me that respect isn't something that is only just earned. It's something that you show people in your actions. And when I see these guys coming together, doing the things they do, it showed me that I could be better. I could do things for them. I could do things for other people. And I should use the opportunity while I've got it, while I am able to spread the word, spread kindness, show everyone that the wrestling community, which it is, it's Colliery Community Wrestling.
That's it. I said it last week on the air, and I think what CCW does, CCW to me is the only promotion that goes out there and uses his platform to actually help those who need
Yeah,
help. CCW goes out there independently and goes to support the community. We've seen all the different events over the years the company has put together, what the CCW community has meant to so many
yeah,
people here in our scene. And I think that's why CCW to me is the number one place. CCW is where the big boys play. And that's why CCW, when a lot of people told me, don't cover CCW, there was this thing they were involved in. And I said it on the air, and I will say it till I'm dead in the grave. I said it when James Barris came on the show. He asked for a microphone. I said it to him then. You have my endorsement. And my endorsement is certainly earned. It's not given. And as long as I have a platform, CCW will always be welcome. So it doesn't matter what the outside noise will want to say or anybody else. CCW will always be welcome on my platform, because what CCW does for the community, what CCW does for this sport of wrestling, and what they've also done with 3 different promotions, Carnage Championship Wrestling, if you like the hardcore deathmatch kind of stuff, you like certainly things that aren't in the usual CCW platform, and certainly with coming out wrestling, you have those things out there. So at the end of the day, what CCW does, nobody else does, and that's why CCW is where the big boys play.
yeah, 100%. I love every single person in the CCW for what they've done and for what they've achieved, what they're going to continue to achieve throughout the next coming year, 10 years, 20 years. They're going to be around forever. We are great. We are the best.
And that's why CCW, I would like people to follow on a number of different
Yes.
platforms, and especially on Instagram at Cutlery Championship _ Wrestling, Facebook at Cutlery Championship Wrestling. I also want to add Carnage Championship Wrestling coming out, wrestling as well. Also YouTube, CCW UK Northeast, where you can see some of the Facebook streams are now being put up on the YouTube stream from our innovator of excellence. He is our king of world media here, Mr. DJB himself. He is live with us here, hanging out for about 25 or so minutes. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice of all wrestling. And Mr. Jam Dog says, I hope Nerds brings a spare pair of underpants on the 27th. I'm sure I'll let Mr. Nerds handle that question. I'm sure I won't ask Jam Dog that question, but I will say he gives you wise words for DJB. Let me ask you a two-front question. And I've been asking different people that have come on the platform this, and I want to get your thoughts. What is your personal goals in 2024, and what is also you think the goals for CCW in 2024?
I think my goals and CCW goals are going to be exactly the same. And that's going to be spread awareness that the wrestling community isn't a bad place. We are here together. We want the same thing. We want to entertain people. We want you all to laugh and smile and cheer and boo. We don't want all of these toxic words being spread online between people who quite frankly haven't seen the damn product enough to know better. We want everyone to experience CCW firsthand and think to themselves, wow, this was really nice. I'd like to come back and see this next month.
Well, people seem to be coming back every time. So
yes,
let's talk about
starting.
Things.
It's slowly, it's getting there. We're building.
They won't show us how many people show to their shows. So that's why they're going to talk, because the CCW shows, we know that hundreds come out to those shows. And we know the CCW shows, the same people come time and time again, and the CCW shows are always sold out. So it seems to me as if CCW's doing a pretty damn good job about doing what the fans want, and that's why they're in the community. So it seems to me at the end of the day, forget about what the outside noise says. What the people that like CCW seem to say is that they love coming to CCW. They support CCW, and they're going to continue to support CCW because of what all the great things that they do, all the great shows. And again, if Davey Blaze is in CCW, it seems like CCW is doing a pretty good job. The way I see it, if Davey Blaze is a part of CCW, if Tom Fulton's a part of CCW, if the Tribal Cheese Logan's a part of CCW, if Hybrid's a part of CCW, if you're a part of CCW, seems to me like CCW is doing a pretty good job. And I don't think there's any endorsement that needs to be needed other than if those people are in CCW and they seem to like it, then CCW again is the place to be. And alongside people like Jam Dog, who know a thing or two about what's going on. Jam Dog has been around the sport. He knows his way around the block. And if Jam Dog's happy in CCW, then I think again, CCW is why you need to follow all those platforms. I was wondering, DJB, about you because, we were speaking off the air last week when I was getting a chance to know you a little bit, but apparently you know some different guys that I happen to know stateside through a thing called e-Fed stuff, promo feds, that I actually know a little bit about. I've never been in them, but apparently you know some guys, apparently like some guy named Mr. Joshua Allen, who is
Yeah.
used to be called the Painmaker in another life. But you might want to share some of your experiences in that's kind of led you maybe into CCW, because I thought that would be kind of fascinating to ask, because you know some people that I know. You probably also know Mr. Atomic Titan. You probably know Mr. Painmaker himself and some of those different people. So I was curious about that for those that might even be fans of CCW, sir.
It is. It's funny because it's a small world. EFED is, for those that don't know, it's fantasy wrestling. It's wrestling without the actual in-ring activity. For those who are in the know-how of all the wrestling lingo, it's a promo battle.
Yep.
You come on and you talk crap to the person you're up against, and then at the end of the week, it will be judged, and there will be a winner, there'll be a loser, and sometimes you'll have the pleasure of reading or watching the match being recorded for using the WWE 2K games.
Yep.
I found CCW purely by luck. I thought it was another
CCW. I'd love to know that. How did you find CCW?
I thought it was another EFED. I honestly,
really?
It popped up as
you weren't convinced about Jam Dog was real in real life. You weren't convinced about Dustin Hart being real in real life. You weren't convinced about Walk of Wall Street with the size of Walk of Wall Street. You mean you weren't convinced about Bobblehead Harris?
It came up, Colliery Championship Wrestling, and I thought, ooh, because I'm an EFEDs, it must be a suggested EFED. I joined it, realized it wasn't an EFED, it's a local wrestling promotion. And I don't know why, it was a shot in the dark. I gave James Barris a message, and I was like, look, I've been doing this for 18 years now. I haven't found anywhere close to home where I could maybe utilize this. Is there anything I can do? And he invited me along to a show, and I believe the first show was Cole Not Dole 2.
Yes, I actually covered Cole Not Dole on Sportswire here. Yes, I did.
That was my first CCW show.
Wow.
And from then, it was like fate. I've been to every show since. Wow. But the fact that EFED led me there just purely by luck, thinking it was another one of these stupid little fantasy groups where I could pretend to be someone I'm not, and now it's my life. It's my living. It's what I'd like to do.
Why did you say that you pretended like you were something you weren't? What did you mean by that for the audience?
So when you're an EFED, there are obviously elements where you can't really do it in real life. I could come on camera and tell you, I've just won the Intergalactic Heavyweight Championship of the world.
There's actually a company we do work with, or a friend of mine his name is Sean Joby, the resident rock star. He actually has an Intergalactic Championship.
But 9 times out of 10, you wouldn't have anything to show for it. It's not real. It's fantasy. It's just in your head, and you've got to make do. Now there are exceptions. There have been groups that have put money towards real championship belts. And if you were good at your job and you were a good promo artist, as they call it, you would win the championship belt. And I just so happen to have been lucky enough to have won one of those championship belts.
Wow. Okay. Well, I would have to buy one of those to look like I'd win that, but you actually won that. Wow. Okay.
Yes.
That's pretty cool, I got to say. You know, you're the second person in 2 nights that showed off a belt collection. Interesting. Congratulations. That's impressive.
It's very heavy. Very heavy.
But, wow, it might be heavier than one of my most recent guests, the Bitcoin billionaire Chase Wakefield. Wow, that's a big belt there. Well, he's really he probably weighs like a twig. We love Chase, though, but obviously that's a big belt there. I mean, that's a pretty cool thing. How does that make you feel winning one of those?
Really, really, really good. It kind of solidified in my head that I'm good at what I do on screen. I can talk to people. I know how to entertain people, and that kind of tells me, yeah, you can do it.
Do you use your experiences? I mean, I know it's obviously an odd question for me to ask. You've obviously been very experienced in talking to people. I also will plug your other, YouTube channel that you have in a second. But I mean, do you ever or people ask you about different things and how to speak or any interviewing skills? And a lot of people would think that every wrestler can speak off the top of their head, and there's some guys that can't do it. Now, CCW is the place to be. So most of the locker room is very good talkers, but there always might be some that might, need a thought or two and advice. Do you feel that sometimes you might want to try to help somebody in that way?
Yes. I feel everybody should have the equal opportunity off screen to have their words be solidified in a historic way. So I like to teach people different techniques of how to speak, and I like to use real life experiences to do that. I do it with friends all the time. For example, if I want to portray myself to be sad or upset, I'll think of a time when I lost my brother many years ago, and I'll be triggered into a sad state. I like to tell people, use those real memories, but say what you want to say in the moment. So you're portraying the emotion, but you're saying things that are connected to the now. It sounds better in my head. It's easier to show in person.
What have you learned anything from anybody else in terms of maybe, how you would say go about even just the different skills that you bring to CCW? Do you, have gained or applied anything from just different people maybe you talk with?
Yeah, there's always been, I've always got a closed circle of friends online who see, people come to me for advice, but what they don't realize is if I get stuck, I'll go to other people for advice. And I've got a closed circuit of friends, and they'll be the people I usually do my other podcasts with. One of them's called Phil, and
I've seen Phil. Yes, on the After Dark Network. Yes, I've actually watched some of you guys, which I'm going to plug in a second. So
it's funny because Phil's about 3 feet away from me right now.
Oh, well, hi Phil. I mean, I hope you're doing well, Phil. I know we're taking you away from doing the pod with Mr. DJB, but I have got a chance to watch you guys and talk about that. Then the After Dark Network. What's that been like doing your own thing outside of CCW? I know you've done things long before that. We were speaking off the air last week and getting to know you, but what's that experience like? I know you guys do different things. It's a little bit of a different like avenue or venue than CCW, but talk about that for the audience that may not know.
So I started After Dark with the sole intention of people showcasing their eFed promos and me telling them how they could improve, maybe get better. 4 episodes passed, and my original co-host decided to take his ball and go home. So I had to find a a replacement.
Those in the past in CCW that decided they couldn't hang in CCW and felt
But I found a perfect replacement, and then the landscape of After Dark changed after that, and we introduced a new show, and I found this spectacular, sexy beast here. Hi, Phil.
Nice to meet you. What an honor. I've seen you on YouTube, and now I get to see you in person. Wow. I mean, can I get your autograph? Let me. This should probably. This should cover it, right? You think this will cover it?
Oh,
you'll get you 3 letters.
Thank you. I appreciate it. That's very kind of you. So I mean, talk about the show. When are you guys going to be on the air next, and when can we find you guys regularly?
It's usually on Saturday nights with eFed After Dark. Tomorrow night, not too sure.
No,
because we have
be cancelled.
But generally, we'll see you guys Saturday nights.
Saturday nights, 11 p.m. GMT. Convert that how you will on the internet.
I'm in New York. Yep. Okay. Excellent.
Yeah, and then once bi-weekly or fortnightly, if you will, Dank After Dark, where we cover nothing wrestling, everything else on the
last week. That I saw that as well. That was funny because that was kind of a whole different spin. So I'm looking forward to that. And any memorable moment with the show so far you guys have had before I obviously finish the rest of the show tonight? Anything else you guys that have been most any memorable moment you want to share? It's with PG for parental guidance only.
Well, in that case, yes, there are plenty of memories, but unfortunately, I can't tell you anything about them because, like you said, PG.
Well, certainly, I think that's a plug that we should go to the After Dark Network. Very simple, very easy. You can check the guys out, After Dark Net on YouTube. I've subscribed. I hope if you're subscribed to us on Sportswire, make sure you subscribe to them. If you're on the CCW pages, make sure you support these guys. These guys do an awesome job. I look forward to having these guys on many, many more times here. So I appreciate you, Phil, coming on here. And Prince Dagan wants to say, I smashed Belzy with that belt. Is that true?
He did. He did.
Wow.
He smashed Belzy with my belt. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. You never know what can happen. Mr. OK is happy in CCW. Yeah, and we're definitely happy in CCW for sure. Obviously, as we're coming toward the end of the show here, it's been an absolute honor to have you, and I really, really am excited. You're welcome anytime to come on Sportswire. Anytime you want to talk, anytime you want to talk CCW, you talk anything else, you're definitely welcome to do that. Was there one or two things that you're watching in CCW this year coming up particularly?
Dagon and Spawn. Anything that involves those two guys. And Persona as well. I love seeing that kid fly. It's amazing.
Persona, you know what? I've got a chance to watch him against Devlin and then obviously Davey Blaze. I mean, Persona's a guy that's definitely he's gonna go some places. He's definitely
I guarantee those places are up because he's just constantly flying.
No. He ain't going down. He's got the size. He's got the agility. He hung in there with Davey Blaze. The fact that he hung in there with Devlin, who's a champion outside of CCW, and the fact that he hung in there with Davey Blaze. I've had Davey Blaze on Sportswire twice. The fact that he hung on with Davey Blaze as long as he did, he's definitely a guy that's going to be going places for sure. And that's why I want everybody to follow CCW. Also, again, only £5 is a ticket for Fighter Strike 3. That's going to be 3 weeks from tomorrow. You're going to see a stack card. The main event is going to be Prince Dagan versus Spawn, father versus son for the world title. Walker Wall Street puts that British Championship Wrestling title on the line from Carnage against Nate Sawyer. Adrian Black, the Light in the Dark champion against the returning Dustin Hart, who still doesn't have a contract after all these years. Johnny Flashback versus Chris Fulton. Basically, the winner of that match puts themselves back in title contention. The Thatcher brothers versus the Pandemic Priest. And, of course, cannot forget about the Cullery Rumble, where the winner of that Rumble will get a chance to put a title shot at any picking for their like at Miners Mania 3. We already know Tribal Cheese is in there. We know Hybrid's in there. We also know that Jam Dog, who's going to be here live Tuesday at 8 o'clock British Standard Time, is going to talk about that here Anthem, and he's going to be in the ring, it looks like, against Nerds as well, putting up his hardcore title, plus many, many more things to be announced. It has been an absolute honor to have you on this platform. And
it's been a pleasure.
Closing thoughts, is there anything else you want to share to the people here before I give you final thoughts?
No matter what you hear about CCW, if you haven't seen it, if you haven't experienced it yourself physically with your own two eyeballs, go and do it. I guarantee, money back guarantee, you will not be disappointed.
Listen, I've been saying that for over 2 years on this platform. At CCW is the place to be. This is where all wrestling matters. This is a company that time and time again always outdoes. I always say it every time I'm on the air. Every CCW show I've covered on Sportswire, like every match is a main event. CCW is really the only place where like every show they put on their cards, they're main events. So at the end of the day, you will not be disappointed. Go out there and support CCW on all those platforms, but also specifically go to the CCW Facebook page, Cullery Championship Wrestling, for more information on buying a ticket for Fighter Strike 3. This is going to be the show of the year. Also tomorrow, I want to plug one more time, Coming Out Wrestling as well. We're gonna have that show, Alive in Pride. Definitely want to make sure we plug that. We got Spawn in action against Craig Forsythe and Simon G. Money. Pride's going to be in action. I know Pride very well. And Taylor Truth is going to be here live next Tuesday to talk about that in the same time that obviously Mr. Jam Dog is going to be here for us. We have a lot of CCW shows again. One more time, recap that. Jam Dog Tuesday, 8 o'clock British Standard Time. The following Tuesday, Taylor Truth, 8 o'clock British Standard Time. Thursday, the 18th, Prince Dagan makes his long-awaited return to Sportswire Radio after nearly 2 years. He's going to talk about his match against Spawn. He's going to talk about being one half of the tag team champions. Of course, the greatest underground championship run he's had in company history. And then the following Thursday to be inducted into the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame, James Barris. Maybe we'll even get him a James Barris bobblehead. No, we're only kidding. We'll give him a certificate. We'll give him, obviously, my long speech, but he'll be back here to talk about the show and some on the 25th of January. My friend, it has been an absolute honor to have you. You're welcome anytime on this platform. I am so, so happy to have connected with you. I am so happy you're here in CCW because now I can actually watch these shows on YouTube right after they go on. So now I knew about the shows. A birdie would give me these shows, but now I can actually watch them here in real time and talk about them. So thank you for your hard work. Thank you for what you do for this great wrestling community, whether it's the EFED community, whether it's here in CCW, everywhere else you would go out to. You are a shining star. You are awesome, and keep up the great work. I want to give you the floor now. Anything else you want to plug, share, or say, and the floor is yours.
Well, for starters, everybody, tune into Sportswire Radio. Don't miss out on the Rev over there. Look at that beautiful face. You don't want to miss out on that.
Well, we have someone watching that actually might agree with me on that. There's a female out there that I think might actually agree with that, although she's been mad at me at times, but she'll probably, hopefully agree with that on that. But I appreciate the kind words, though.
Come tune into After Dark on Saturday nights for EFED After Dark. We go over some terrible wrestling promos. But then every other Thursday, Dank After Dark, where the humor the humor's just, oh my God, it's on another level. Other than that,
we're wrong.
What do you mean we're wrong?
We're just wrong.
We are wrong. Yeah, we're wrong on another level.
Yeah.
It sounds like I should be watching already, and tag me anytime you guys go on the. I think I subscribe to the notifications, but definitely the promo ones I definitely want to see because I know Mr. Painmaker. You have a Joshua Allen story real quick? You have any Joshua Allen memories?
I don't have any memories off by heart, but I'm pretty sure if I went digging in the old EFED groups, I could find something.
Oh, you don't. I'm gonna have him back on. Trust me. You don't need to do that, but I definitely look forward to those shows. That'll be, I think, every other Saturday, right? 11 o'clock British Standard Time.
So
and then
every Saturday is EFED After Dark, but every other Thursday is Dank After Dark.
Excellent. I look forward to that. And if you want to find out more on DJB, you can check him out through the CCW YouTube page. Also, he's on all the Facebook streams with Dagan streams, Ronnie streams, all the different streams you see. And I love what CCW always does because CCW is the one promotion where, look, everybody in the locker room, the Big Cheese, the Tribal Cheese does his videos on there. James Barris does them. Walker does them. Dustin's done them. Ronnie's always online. Dagan's doing them now that he speaks. If I had Dagan on, I need a translator, but now he speaks, and he speaks like fluently better than almost anybody else. And everybody else out there in CCW, you can check out all that stuff on the Colory Championship Wrestling page on Facebook. This man is awesome. He's a rock star. He's going to do bigger and better things, and we got him now. We hope to get him more often here. And Happy New Year, my friend. Congratulations on being a part of this awesome company. This is the place to be. This is where all wrestling matters. I can't wait for a slew of shows ahead, a full slate ahead this month on Sportswire Radio. Jam Dog again Tuesday. Definitely be there at B Square. And Happy New Year. Thank you for all that you do. And yes, amen to that. Yes, definitely anything CCW, put it out there. Wear it. I don't know what it is. Just wear it and rock it. Support it because CCW is where all wrestling matters. Thank you so much for your time. I hope that you enjoy the show tomorrow. And definitely I'm looking forward to head for more shows to the 27th on Sportswire. I look forward to having you back to recap this after the 27th. Yes.
I cannot wait. I'll be back anytime.
We'll have you on to recap the show after the 27th. That'll be pretty cool. Maybe we'll have it the Friday after the 27th. Maybe that'll be something we'll do if that works out. But all right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Mr. DJB. He is the innovator of excellence. He is our king of all media, all things related to CCW. And my name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice of all wrestling, where all wrestling matters, the host of the Sports Report, the owner of Sportswire Radio, the #1 global radio station to get you ready for tomorrow's Coming Out Wrestling show. Also, Fighter Strike 3 on the 27th. 3 weeks from tomorrow, a slew of matches ahead. We'll have Jam Dog this Tuesday to talk about that here. Anthem is he announced here on the air. He's entering the Rumble and also wrestling against Nurch to defend his Hardcore Championship. If you're on Sportswire Radio, you're going back to your regular scheduled programming. I'll also be back here at 10 o'clock Eastern time to talk all things related in the world of sports. But until then, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, on the #1 global radio station and CC Dub. Thank you, everybody, and I'll see you later on. And let's go.